Hey everyone, so we've finished reading A Doll's House, now it's time to analyse it and continually thinking about how can I use this with my interpretation. So I mentioned the alternate ending, and this particular piece that I've already gone through, that was written by Ibsen, speaking about how if someone has to change the ending, he's the one who should do it, rather than leaving it in the hands of these unskilled people to just absolutely butcher the ending. So have a read of that, pause the video if you'd like to and have a look. And then here we see the events that change. So instead of Nora leaving, she's about to leave. Torvald forces her to have a look at the children. She realises her obligation, and then Helmer sort of seems like not a terrible bloke because he uses a soft voice. So use that if you will. You could use that to show one ending, you could show another ending, up to you. So the task that I got you to do was to look at these particular themes and to see how is it that they are used throughout. So we've got the idea of money, where Nora continually asks for money. That seems to be a theme in the very first part of the play. We've got marriage, how the sort of societal norms were challenged. Names, he doesn't use her name. Equality, sacrifice and appearances. So let's go through a couple of these now. Money emerges as one of the forces driving the play's conflict, and it draws a line between genders, classes, moral standards. So Nora owes the porter, the very first part, 50 ore, but she gives him twice that amount. And she likes to spend and really likes the idea of buying presents and blocks out the financial concerns. Torvald's assertion that Nora's lack of understanding money matters is a result of her gender. This is just like a woman. Straight away we see his prejudiced views on gender roles. Torvald believes a wife's role is to beautify the home, not only through the proper management of domestic life, but also through the proper behaviour and appearance. And if we relate back to our gender in the 19th century video we watched, that is a very helpful follow-up to that. He quickly makes it known that appearance is important to him and that Nora is like an ornament or trophy that beautifies his house and his reputation. The only time we actually see Torvald call Nora by her name is when he's telling her off. Apart from that, it is the childish little names like my little skylark, my squirrel, okay, my little fluffy dumpling. So we see that what that does is actually dehumanises her and really just demeans her, and asserts Torvald's power over. He implies that Nora is comparable to the little birds that frit away money, and that Nora lacks fundamental ability to actually deal with financial matters, whereas we see from practice she does have the capability of thinking through these things. She's just been held in a box for a lot of her life. And although Torvald accuses Nora of being irresponsible, he gives her more in order to watch her happy reaction. It amuses Torvald, and again just shows that Nora is like a little baby doll that he wants to make happy. Nora is Torvald's doll, decorates his home, pleases him by being a dependent figure with whose emotions he can toy. In addition to being something of a doll to Torvald, Nora is like a child, continually competing with Nora's dead father for Nora's loyalty, and keeping Nora dependent on himself and subservient. Nora's gift selection shows a gender bias as well, and that this is what's typical, and that she then goes and names the doll and already has some plans for that. Nora's first conversation with Mrs. Lind reveals a lot about Nora, that she's insensitive, self-centered, very childlike. The reason we see that is because continually Nora interrupts and says, I won't talk about me, but here's a little bit more about me. Mrs. Lind and Nora's marriage involves sacrificing themselves to another in exchange for money, but how is it different? We see that Mrs. Lind sacrificed herself for the good of her family, for her mother, for her younger brothers, and so she sacrificed her happiness for them. Again and again in A Doll's House, women sacrifice their personal desires, their ambitions and their dignity. While Nora marries for her own welfare, Mrs. Lind does so for the welfare of her family. I think it's pretty obvious which one, if you've read the book. Nora and Torvald's house is full of secrets and deception. Nora lies and forges the signature because of Torvald's unfair stereotypes that women cannot help, and if he could accept his wife's help, they wouldn't have been in this situation and Nora wouldn't have to lie to him. When Nora suggests that Torvald finds Mrs. Lind a job, Torvald assumes the bias concerning proper roles in society by assuming she's a widow. Torvald's assumption shows that he believes a proper married woman shouldn't be outside the house. And as Torvald departs, he says to her, "Only a mother could bear to be here," suggesting any woman who wants a job must not have children. These words really show an expression of pride because Torvald's really pleased with the home that he has and what a proper woman should be. So we'll move on to the analysis of Act 1, but that was just some general stuff that we've gone